The scent of jasmine and cheap perfume hung heavy in the air, a sickly, sweet aroma that made my stomach churn. It was the smell of betrayal, of a life built on lies and deceit. My wife, the woman I thought I loved, the mother of my children, was a viper in my paradise. I watched her, her eyes gleaming with a predatory light as she whispered secrets to my brother, the man I had entrusted with my life, my trust, my very soul. He, the man who should have been my brother, was a serpent coiled around her, a slimy reptilian thing that had slithered into my life and poisoned everything. Years they had been at it, these two. Their illicit affair a secret whispered in the shadows, a dark stain on the tapestry of my family. And the worst part? They had dared to think they could get away with it. They had even dared to breed, to bring a child into this world, a child that wasn't mine, a child that was a testament to their betrayal. My wife, in her infinite cruelty, had promised that the second child, the one she was carrying now, would be mine. A lie, a cruel joke, a sickening mockery of my love. The anger welled up inside me, a volcanic eruption of rage that threatened to consume me. I wanted to scream, to tear them apart, to rip the secrets from their faces and expose their treachery to the world. But I would be patient. I would savor this moment of rage, this feeling of burning hatred. My revenge would be exquisite, a symphony of pain and humiliation, a dance of destruction that would leave them shattered and broken. I would make them pay for what they had done, for the years of deceit, for the pain they had inflicted on me. My first step was to sever the ties that bound me to them. I would expose their secret, their lies, their treachery to the world. I would make them pay, not just for their betrayal, but for the very breath they drew. And I would start with the woman, my wife, the one who had betrayed me with my own brother. I would make her beg for mercy, for forgiveness. I would make her wish she had never been born. As I watched her, her face a mask of innocence, her eyes filled with a love that was not for me, I knew I would not be merciful. Their lives were about to become a living hell, and it would be a hell of my own making. I would watch them crumble, watch their lies unravel, and watch as their world came crashing down around them. And in the end, they would realize that they had underestimated me, that I was a force to be reckoned with. I would make them pay, and they would pay dearly. The thought of their suffering fueled me, a burning desire to watch them writhe in agony. The pain they had caused me would be amplified 1,000 times over. They would beg for mercy, for forgiveness. But there would be no mercy, no forgiveness. The second child, the one she was carrying, would be a constant reminder of their treachery, a physical embodiment of their lies. It was a gift, a twisted present from my wife to me, a gift I would cherish and use to destroy them. I would make sure that their lives became a living nightmare, a constant reminder of their deceit. I would make them wish they had never been born. I would make them beg for death. And when the time was right, I would deliver my ultimate revenge, a revenge that would be swift, brutal, and merciless, a revenge that would make their souls scream in agony. And this is just the beginning. Prepare yourselves, for the storm is coming, the storm of my fury, the storm of my revenge. The air crackled with anticipation, the tension palpable as I watched my wife and brother, their faces contorted in a mixture of fear and desperation. The truth, like a venomous serpent, had slithered out, exposing their years of deceit and treachery. The world, once a haven of comfort and familiarity, had become a stage for their downfall. My wife, the epitome of elegance and sophistication, was now a broken woman. Her once pristine image shattered into a million pieces. Her eyes, once pools of seductive charm, now held a desperate plea for mercy, a pleading for a life that would never be again. Her brother, the man who had betrayed me, the man who had shared my wife's bed, was no better. He looked like a whipped dog, his once confident demeanor replaced by a look of abject terror. The man who had once held my trust, now cowered before me, a pitiful figure in the face of my wrath. I savored their fear, their anguish, their desperation. It was a delicious sensation, a sweet symphony of revenge. They had tasted the bitter fruit of their sins, and now they would reap the whirlwind. "You think you can get away with this?" I snarled, my voice a low growl that sent shivers down their spines. "You think you can just waltz into my life, steal my wife and breed a child that isn't mine without consequences?" My words, like a venomous snake, slithered through the air, striking at their very core. Their faces were a canvas of despair, their eyes filled with a terror that mirrored my own satisfaction. They had been warned, but they had chosen to ignore my pleas. They had chosen to walk the path of darkness, and now they would face the consequences. My wife, her face a mask of humiliation, tried to speak, but her words were lost in a torrent of tears. She looked at me with a mixture of fear and desperation, her eyes begging for a second chance. But I had no mercy to give. "You've had your chance," I said, my voice dripping with venom. "You've had years to make amends, to rectify your mistakes, but you chose to betray me, to deceive me, to destroy my life, and now you will pay." I took a step closer to them, the distance between us shrinking with every breath. My eyes, burning with a fire of righteous fury, locked onto theirs. The air crackled with electricity, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "You will both suffer," I said, my voice a low growl that sent chills down their spines. "You will suffer for your betrayal, for your deceit, for the pain you have inflicted on me." As I spoke, my body surged with a primal need to inflict pain, to see them suffer. The desire to punish them, to make them pay for what they had done, was an insatiable hunger that gnawed at my very soul. My wife, her eyes filled with a desperate plea for forgiveness, reached out and touched my hand. But I recoiled, her touch a repulsive reminder of the betrayal that had consumed my life. "No!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the room. "No mercy for you! You have earned this!" And as I spoke, my hand reached out, my fingers tracing the curve of her cheek. A single tear rolled down her face, a tear of shame, of regret, of the realization of the depth of her sin. "Don't you dare cry," I growled, my voice a low growl that reverberated through the room. "You have nothing to cry about. You have brought this upon yourselves." And with that, I pulled her closer, my lips finding hers in a hungry kiss. It was a kiss of vengeance, a kiss of retribution, a kiss that was both passionate and violent. Her body, trembling with fear and anticipation, responded to my touch. Her hands, once delicate and graceful, now gripped my shoulders, her fingers digging into my skin. Her brother, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and anticipation, watched as we embraced. He knew what was coming, what he had to endure. He knew that his life, like his sister's, was about to become a living hell. And I, in my infinite cruelty, would make sure that it was a hell they would never forget. The room, once a sanctuary of comfort and familiarity, now transformed into a battlefield of passion and pain. The air crackled with electricity, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. My wife's body, a masterpiece of curves and contours, responded to my touch, her skin burning with desire. Her moans, a mixture of fear and pleasure, echoed through the room, a siren song that lured me deeper into the abyss. And as I plunged deeper, deeper into the depths of her body, I felt a surge of power, a sense of dominance that filled me with a perverse satisfaction. She was mine, and I would not let her go. I felt her body convulse around me, her moans reaching a crescendo of pleasure and pain. Her brother, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and anticipation, watched as we embraced. He knew what was coming, what he had to endure. He knew that his life, like his sister's, was about to become a living hell. And I, in my infinite cruelty, would make sure that it was a hell they would never forget. The room reeked of sweat and desperation, a symphony of moans and gasps echoing through the confines of my domain. My wife, her body contorted in a frenzy of pleasure, writhed against me, her moans a symphony of surrender. Her brother, his eyes glazed over with a mixture of fear and lust, watched in helpless agony as I consumed her. I felt a surge of power, a sense of dominance that filled me with a perverse satisfaction. They had underestimated me, had believed they could play me, could deceive me. But they had underestimated the depth of my rage, the ferocity of my desire for revenge. "You've betrayed me," I growled, my voice a low growl that reverberated through the room. "You've stolen my love, my trust, my life, and now you will pay." With a guttural cry, I plunged deeper, my body a battering ram against her core. Her moans, a mixture of pleasure and pain, grew louder, more frantic. She was mine, and I would not let her go. Her brother, his face contorted in a mixture of fear and lust, watched as I tore into her, a silent observer of the destruction I was wreaking. He knew that his time would come, that he would face the same fate as his sister. "I'll make you pay," I said, my voice a low growl that sent shivers down their spines. "I'll make you pay for everything you've done." My fingers, calloused and strong, dug into her flesh, a testament to my power. Her body, a canvas of pain and pleasure, responded to my touch, her moans a crescendo of surrender. I felt her body convulse around me, her moans reaching a peak of ecstasy. Her brother, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and lust, watched as we embraced. He knew what was coming, what he had to endure. He knew that his life, like his sister's, was about to become a living hell. And I, in my infinite cruelty, would make sure that it was a hell they would never forget. The room, once a sanctuary of comfort and familiarity, now transformed into a battlefield of passion and pain. The air crackled with electricity, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Her body, a masterpiece of curves and contours, responded to my touch, her skin burning with desire. Her moans, a mixture of fear and pleasure, echoed through the room, a siren song that lured me deeper into the abyss. And as I plunged deeper, deeper into the depths of her body, I felt a surge of power, a sense of dominance that filled me with a perverse satisfaction. She was mine, and I would not let her go. Her brother, his eyes glazed over with a mixture of fear and anticipation, watched as I consumed her, his own lust a burning flame within him. He knew that his time would come, that he would face the same fate as his sister. "You will both pay," I said, my voice a low growl that sent shivers down their spines. "You will pay for what you've done." And as I spoke, I turned my attention to her brother. His body, a canvas of anticipation, strained against the restraints that held him. His eyes, wide with a mixture of fear and lust, pleaded for release. "You're next," I said, my voice a low growl that sent shivers down his spine. "You will feel the same pain that your sister has just felt." And with that, I dragged him closer, my lips finding his in a kiss of pure dominance. He tasted of fear and anticipation, a mixture of emotions that fueled my rage. His body, a canvas of anticipation, responded to my touch. His moans, a mixture of pain and pleasure, echoed through the room, a symphony of surrender. I felt him writhe against me, his body contorting in a frenzy of desire, and as I plunged deeper, deeper into the depths of his body, I felt a surge of power, a sense of dominance that filled me with a perverse satisfaction. They were mine, and I would not let them go. The room, a chaotic whirlwind of bodies and moans, was a testament to my revenge. Their betrayal had been a gift, a catalyst for my ultimate triumph. I had taken their love, their trust, their lives, and now I would savor their destruction. The stench of blood and sweat filled the air, a testament to the violence I had unleashed. My wife's body, a masterpiece of curves and contours, was now a canvas of pain and pleasure. Her brother, his body ravaged by my dominance, lay beside her, their bodies intertwined in a web of destruction. I looked at them, at their faces contorted in a mixture of fear and ecstasy. They had tasted the bitter fruit of their sins, and now they would reap the whirlwind. And I, their master, would watch them suffer. I would watch them beg for mercy. But there would be no mercy, no forgiveness. They had chosen this path, this road to destruction, and now they would pay the price.